Hello, race fans, and welcome to Disc Golf Daily. We are the podcast that gets you caught up with disc golf news in about 10 minutes, saving you time and effort. It is Wednesday. That means we collect all the disc golf news from across the world that you may have missed in the past week. And today we have a special guest and co-host to Disc Golf Daily, Seamus Scanlon. Welcome to Disc Golf Daily, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a privilege to be here. Happy to be reporting from across the pond in Scotland.
It is great to get a European insight on this, and actually we'll be touching on some European stuff in just a few minutes. All right, our first news story of the day. This is a stat that is fascinating to me. This is Kristen Tatar's position after her last 10 rounds at Worlds. This is domination right here. After every single round in 2022, she was in first. After every single round in 2023, she was in first. Seamus, give us some thoughts on this. How can we think about Kristen over the last few years?
Well, Kristen's been brilliant the last few years. I mean, first of all, congratulations to Mrs. Latt, their recent wedding. But I think Kristen's been managing her career brilliantly. Last couple of years, she's proven that she can come out in the first half of the season and dominate, take a nice break in the middle, show up to a tournament like Worlds right now, healthy, fit, fresh, and ready to go, just like it was the first tournament of the year. I think she's going to do brilliantly.
I would not bet against her, and I think you're right. She has been managing her season well. Interestingly enough, it'll see her maybe getting the back issue might turn out to be a positive because she's relatively rested.
Yeah, I agree. Her and all the other European women should come over, and hopefully if they all play strong, we're going to see them at the top of the leaderboard.
It should be a very fun round to watch. Our number 2 news story today, we're talking about the Pro Tour schedule. And what's been happening here is they removed 3 events from the tour. It went from 22 down to 19. And the upside of this is less wear and tear on the pros, more downtime for them to do clinics and meet and greets between stops, and more focus on the events that are on tour. One thing that I do see that is expanded is the European swing seems bigger to me. And Seamus, you're across the pond. What do you think about the European swing expanding on the Pro Tour?
Well, living over here, I got to tell you, Disc Golf Pro Tour has taken the best of what used to be the old Euro Tour and Euro Pro Tour and combined it into a great event. Apart from a few well-seasoned U.S. events, Europe has proven to be where the spectators are showing up. There's no shortage of quality courses like I spoke about, and I imagine the trend of scheduling major European events here is going to continue. There's great seasoned courses, small, wealthy countries who view disc golf as a benefit. Put together some volunteers and some beautiful land, and you're going to wind up with a great European swing. It's a really nice swing, and it might seem like it jumps around from country to country, but all these countries are very close-knit. And I think it's going to be a fantastic leg of the tour, really.
We are excited to watch, and I agree 100%. You said something that caught my interest, which is we're going to see more majors over there in Europe. 2025 Pro Worlds. You want to make a prediction over, under, Seamus? Will we have a Pro Worlds? I'm going to say 2032. Will we have a Pro Worlds before or after that in Europe? Another one.
I think the trend is going to continue even more so. I mean, there's no reason why Amateur Worlds, probably Masters Worlds will be here next, then followed by Amateur Worlds. And I really think that the traditional scheduling that's North American based is going to have to transform in order to incorporate all these great new players in Europe and great new venues.
I can't wait to watch that transformation. There will be it's always a little uncomfortable to change, but this is overall a very positive change. Moving on to our next topic. We've got 2 new courses at Pro Worlds, one of which is New London Tech. And if you go to UDisc, The current best scores on the new London Tech courses are 58, and it's put up by two people, Brody Smith and Henna Blomroos. That's some fun stuff to consider heading into Worlds Week. Seamus, do you think Brody Smith and Henna Blomroos are going to win Pro Worlds?
Brody Smith is the dark horse. I'm not really sure that he's the shining star, but if he can throw a 58, I don't see why not. Henna Blomroos she's a threat at any point, especially a well-rested Henna Blomroos. Her and Evelina play off each other really well. And it always leads to exciting stuff.
100% true. And yes, if Brody can shoot a bunch of 58s, you never know. I am going to go to PDGA approvals. So we have the chicane and the sector coming from Finish Line discs. Those are both basically long putters. I'll call them putt mids. We've got the Citadel from Compound Discs, a crazy little pattern on that. And that is also a putter. And then we've got a ridiculously wide-winged distance driver called the Extraterrestrial from Trash Panda. I can't believe I got through that word without messing it up. And then we've got the Range from Streamline Discs. And this is a putter. And I don't know about you, Seamus, but I love the way they present this picture on the PDGA approval page. You can see a perfect side view. You got that under view so you can see what the rim shape is, and you got the beautiful top shot. All right, our next story is Pro Worlds coverage starts tomorrow. PDGA members, we got complete coverage of rounds 1 and 2. And that's called DGN Basic. DGN Standard and Pro will get complete round coverage of all rounds. I actually don't see on this chart where post-produced coverage will be, but I would look on the PDGA's YouTube page. And I am excited for Pro Worlds, which starts today. If you're watching this, when we're done, you need to turn it off and turn on Pro Worlds. Seamus, I mentioned earlier that I asked you earlier if Brody Smith and Henna were going to win, but the real question is, who is going to win Pro Worlds? You want to give us your top 3 for the men and the women?
Ooh, boy, you put me on the spot there, Steve. But yeah, okay, I'll do it. Top 3. Well, let's break it down into two ways here. Top 3 of people I want to see would be Heimberg, Isaac Robinson, and probably Paul McBeth on the men's side. The women's side, it really is a toss-up. I mean, Evelina's been playing really well. Let's say Evelina, Tatar, and Missy Gannon, because that's straight up the middle. I think they've proven themselves this year. On the men's side, I wouldn't count out Macbeth. I can't tell you he's going to win it this year, but I can tell you it's going to be his best performance, and I really look forward to seeing him on the lead card, charging toward the top. If it's anybody's Worlds who needs to win, I would love to see Calvin Heimberg win. I think it would just be his gold star on a fantastic career of his. But, you know, as time goes on, it's going to get harder to call. The competition is getting better, and I'm enjoying it more, to be honest.
It is really fun to watch these players play. And I look at Gannon, who's having a career year. He's 19. He's having a career year. And then Ricky, who is playing very well right now, but can't quite seem to get over that major hump. And then Calvin, who needs that major just to make sure he is one of those top echelon players. You've got Paul McBeth. You've got Isaac Robinson and his brother Ezra, who's been playing very well. The men's side is insane with storylines and people that could win. But you offline, you talked to me about something that I hadn't really thought through, which is that the majors are the most important part. And Paul McBeth gears his entire year towards winning Worlds. And if you look at his season, as you pointed out, he is peaking right now. He is getting his 1080, 1090, 1070 rated rounds pretty consistently, not across all of the rounds in an event, but at least once per event. Do you think with him being focused and peaking at the right time, what would you give odds? You think he's a 5-1?
I think it's better than that. I think he's a very smart athlete, and you're right, he is peaking before Worlds. I think we're seeing an evolution in the sport, not just with Paul, but with other athletes who are becoming more event driven. They have to win that major. It's their gold star on their time card, and the sponsors want to see it. The people want to see it, and I think as time goes on, we're going to see more event driven athletes in our sport. I mean, if you think about it, nobody really knows who wins the King's Cup, which is taking a page from tennis. That's the week before Wimbledon. But you can remember who won Wimbledon, which is Garcia, and I think the same pressure is true in disc golf. You got Worlds, and in North America, you have the U.S. BGC.
It's fun watching the sport grow because Worlds matters so much and the majors matter so much. Our next story is UDisc improving their in-app round rating system. This is something I didn't expect to see. I never expect to see all the improvements that UDisc is making, but they're very consistent in making improvements. So what they're doing here, in less than a year, there have been over 12 million rounds rated in UDisc. This is across 12,000 courses and 28,000 layouts. The big improvement that they've done is there's now more benefit to your UDisc rating if you score better at tougher courses. So, for example, if you're playing Maple Hill Reds and you shoot even, the round rating, the UDisc rating went from 185 to 182. So a little bit worse. But if you shoot even on golds, your round rating went from 246 to 256. So it gained a 10-point gain. That is a significant gain. And remember, the UDisc rating system is not based on each stroke being worth the same number of strokes, just like the PDGA ratings. It actually includes the understanding that each stroke knocked off your score gets harder and harder. If you shoot even, shooting -1 is relatively easy. If you shoot -8, going to -9 is much tougher because you got to get those 8 birdies first. Basically, and so just to give a quick overview, basically a rating of 100 is a beginner, 200 is a decent AM goal, 300 is a touring pro doing great. So if we look at shooting -9 on the Reds at Maple Hill, the old UDisc rating system had that as a 239. It's now knocked down to a 229, meaning it is easier to score better on the Reds than UDisc originally anticipated. For the golds, it actually went up 17 points from 291 to 308 for shooting -9 on the golds. That is a sizable change. And I love how it takes into account the difficulty of getting those extra strokes once you are that far under par at a difficult course. This just feels right, and I like it. Seamus, do you have any thoughts on what UDisc is doing here with the UDisc ratings?
Well, I agree that it's a great system. It's a really nice system to use, and I'm glad that they're improving it, making it more accurate. I think it works great on we have 4 layouts at our disc golf course, and it works brilliantly at our longer layouts, which are comparable maybe to Maple Hill Blues and Reds. But on our green layout, it breaks down a little bit, and it shows a higher rating than I think it was earned. I'm not really sure if UDisc is going to target a short course like that, 150 feet holes, but they are putting up a rating, and it's probably something that needs to be adjusted. But other than that, UDisc rating has been a brilliant tool that we've been using across our layouts, and it's really helping me as a disc golf course designer and owner. It's just helping me explain the sport.
Agreed. UDisc I see the UDisc, DGPT, PDGA triumvirate as the bodies that are helping our sport grow, and they are a critical component.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I want to close with a really neat graph that Ultiworld has put together. and I'm going to pull it up here. This is the first-time winners in MPO of Pro Worlds. And it's a really interesting chart. You can see there's kind of a sweet spot right across the middle here. You're basically 29 to 34-year-olds that's when you first win Pro Worlds. It's the sweet spot of wisdom, and you haven't started to lose your ability yet. Over time, Seamus, what would you expect to happen to this chart? Do you think we're going to get more younger people winning Pro Worlds? Do you think people are going to start to age a little more because it's even harder? Or is it pretty much where it's going to be? What do you think is going to happen to this chart in the future?
I think there's always going to be anomalies. There's nothing wrong with Gannon-Burr winning as a teenager. I really think that's an anomaly. In order to win Worlds, that's the biggest stage. You got to put up with the most pressure. You have to be a really smart athlete and strive under pressure. For women, I could see a world's champion in her 30s. But I agree with your assessment. I think in the men's, around 29 is when they're feeling strongest and most capable.
And if we pull up the women's chart, we can see, in general, women are winning in their mid to late 20s. That's the first time they win Pro Worlds. I personally would expect this to increase up to the low 30s as the women's side of the game matures and we get more data points and we get tougher competition for the win.
I agree.
Well, I think you agreeing with me is a perfect place to wrap it up. Seamus, thank you very much for being here, offering some insights from across the pond. And thank you very much for listening and watching. Have fun, throw them straight. Please share this with a friend and hit the thin gap. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really does help us grow.